We started by placing the SDGs in the center of our planning for development in the state. So our development plan, which is from 2016 to 2020, is predicated on SDG goals. We had to do that to make sure that the SDGs were being implemented at an institutional level. Now, having done that, we had to make sure that our planning was top notch in order for us to deliver the SDGs. The next thing we did was we focused on strengthening the institutions that would deliver the SDGs. So we did a reform of our public service. We did a revitalization, as it's called, of the civil service, which we inherited a tired and unskilled and quite frankly unmotivated civil service. We had to revitalize the civil service, make sure that we brought in new blood, new brains, so to speak. We also did a lot of policy reform. We put in place a lot of policies that would support the development of the SDGs. For example, with land administration, we've introduced a lot of technology and of course different models of finance to be able to improve that sector. We've had to bring in experts from all around the world to do a complete aerial mapping of our state. So we have inch by inch aerial photography of the entire state. That not only helps with land administration, but also with planning in terms of population control, of understanding population density, of treating environmental matters. We've done a lot of institutional reform in many of the sectors. For example, with education, we were determined to reach the SDG education goals. So we've made basic education free for girls from the first year, from primary all the way to junior secondary. We want to make sure that girls go into school and get quality education. We had to work with, we had to revitalize the teaching profession. We had to, unfortunately, fire 20,000 teachers who were unqualified, who didn't have the right qualification. We actually did a series of tests for which we fired those who failed, unfortunately. But as we fired 20,000 teachers, we brought in 25,000 new teachers who are better qualified and who are skilled in delivering quality in the classroom, so that learning outcomes are important. So we've had to do a lot of very drastic reforms across all the sectors. We did the same in the health sector. We've done the same for the utilities. We've done the same for the water and sanitation sector. To be honest, when we came as a new government in 2016, we found that the usage of data was very poor, and the record keeping and data keeping was extremely poor. The first thing we did was to institute reforms in our Kaduna Bureau of Statistics. Now that they've been reformed, we're using the Bureau of Statistics to develop the different surveys and surveys and tools that we need to do our planning. For example, they've carried out a couple of household surveys that have been incredibly useful for us to understand. For me, in infrastructure, it's been able to understand. They've been able to help us understand just how many people in Kaduna have access to power, and how many households don't have access to power. Without those surveys, for example, we couldn't have known the access to water and sanitation. I've talked about the sanitation and how we have to declare a state of emergency in sanitation, because we realize that there's a huge deficit in terms of sanitation facilities in public institutions and in a lot of homes. That's why open defecation is still going on. The Bureau of Statistics has really helped us to support planning for data. What we've done, planning with data, what we've done as the government is we now use data, not only in our planning, but in also our implementation. We have to present empirical data when we want to ask for a new procurement to take place. We have to show cause and explain why it is necessary. Any new road or hospital or whatever we are building, we need to show how it will take part in filling the deficit and how it will support a catchment area or a local government where there is a gap. So we're no longer just working haphazardly. Data has I think improved our work tremendously.
Okay, there have been speculations, or maybe to say there have been issues regarding some other states coming to Kaduna Bureau of Statistics to be able to see how Kaduna is doing it. Will you be able to confirm that?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We've had many states come to learn from our reforms, and we're very open with what we do. In fact, our government is we're a signatory to the Open Governance Initiative, the OGP. I think it's DFID supported and World Bank supported.
Yes.
It's an initiative that allows for governments to be more open and transparent in our decision making, in our policy making, and in our implementation. So absolutely, we've had many states come and partner with us and learn from the reforms that we've done. A good example is with the testing that we did of all teachers, all primary school teachers. I beg your pardon, I should have specified that. All primary school teachers that were tested. We've had other states like Kwara and Rivers come and learn from that. Learn from that. I'm not sure if they did the massive firing of unqualified teachers that we did, but we have partnered with other states. Also, the school feeding program. We've had many states, Yobe, Adamawa, I think even Lagos, come and partner with us and learn, and they because we developed a homegrown model for school feeding, and we've been able to share that with many states, and we've also gotten support from the federal government for it as part of their sector implementation program. With the local governments, right from the get-go, what we did was through the Ministry of Planning and Budget, with support from DFID, we developed different tools to help local governments to improve their own governance. We developed manuals, for example, for budgeting, for planning, to support their own governance. But what we did recently is we developed a governance. We developed infrastructure roadmap, which is a web-based facility. The reason why we did that is because we understood that we needed to help the local governments to invest their funds. For the first time ever, the local governments have direct access to their funds. We, as a state government, we don't interfere whatsoever with the allocations that they get. They are given their funds directly from the federal government, so they do have money for the first time for capital work, to improve their governance and to improve their local governments. But we were not seeing the change happen as fast as we needed it to. So we developed the infrastructure roadmap to guide the local governments and give them, help them to understand where their infrastructure deficits are. So the infrastructure roadmap we did a mapping and a database that collected data on all schools, hospitals and primary healthcare centers, markets and motor parks, roads, and even from looking at the map, you can tell that there is a certain 3 square kilometers where there is no school, for example, or there's a 10 kilometer radius where there is no health facility whatsoever. So even looking at the map alone, one can understand where the deficits are. But we've also gone ahead to do the analysis for them. So we have a gap analysis or a deficit analysis, if you will, that helps them to understand that. That way, they can target where to guide their funds and fill that deficit where the infrastructure matters. So we're working really well with the local governments. Funding has been a big problem. In 2016, we, as a country, between 2016 and 2017, we experienced an unprecedented financial crisis due to the crash in oil prices, for which we as a nation were over-dependent. Now, what we had to do in our state government is we've had to be creative about how to ensure that our policies are implemented as well as our projects, as well as our capital projects. So what we've done things like we've leveraged heavily on our partnerships. So we work with not only civil society, but also the academia and think tanks and other private sector institutions to plan effectively to get the best ideas out there and to learn the best practice that can help us in our implementation. But we've also been able to access funds from the international community and from the private sector as well. Kaduna, for example, we decided that we're going to do everything we can to make Kaduna the foremost investment location in Nigeria, and so far we've succeeded. In 2017, we had Nigeria's largest non-oil investment, which is the Olam. Olam is a Singapore-based company who have built their seed and grain factory and poultry here in Kaduna. I believe it was a $150 million investment. And we've had a lot of different types of public-private partnerships in different sectors as well. Even in the infrastructure sector, believe it or not, the International Conference on Sustainable Development is one that is very dear to us. We've attended before as a state government, and it was very enriching and very enlightening. So the message, I do of course apologize on behalf of Kaduna State government that we couldn't make it this year. It was beyond our control. We were very excited, and we had a big team that was going there to showcase a lot of interesting things, including the infrastructure roadmap that I talked about. But I do want to give our thanks for our invitation, and to say that we will continue to support the ICSD and honor invitation anytime we're invited. And I wish you all fruitful deliberations. I wish I was there, but I do wish them all the best. We're very serious about developing, ensuring that our city becomes and is a sustainable city. Our infrastructure development plan, for example, spans 32 years. The first thing, of course, is to plan well for it. We're planning for the long term, not for the immediate or the short term. We've also made sure that we carry along all our stakeholders in everything we do. That's another way that we ensure sustainability and ensure that projects survive the test of time, to make sure that you carry the beneficiaries along. So we work with civil society, with community-based NGOs, and with communities and traditional institutions themselves in anything that we're developing, such that they take ownership, they are involved in the protection of it, and they're involved in the long-term planning and strategizing for it. And one of the innovations that we've done is the project called the Eyes and Ears project. The Eyes and Ears project is a technology-based system, which is a little app that people carry on that you can put on your smartphone. Luckily, we have a large part of our population in Kaduna carries smartphones. So what we do is we do M&E through crowdsourcing, if you will. So we have people give us feedback on different projects in different parts of the state where we can be or where we can't be. We get input from the local citizenry on. It's not a rapid response system, mind you. It's not something that we can respond. We can't always respond to everything immediately. But what's important is that we do hear about areas where infrastructure is damaged, where there are problems with the roads, for example, or with the infrastructure, or if extreme weather has caused damage to any parts of the state. We get feedback from the Eyes and Ears project, from the Eyes and Ears app, and of course on the newly built classrooms and hospitals and primary healthcare centers. We get feedback if there are any issues, or if the general public have noticed anything that needs to be brought to our attention. So it's been a very good tool for monitoring our projects, as well as the monitoring and evaluation that we do. And yes, so we're very serious in developing, and of course for our broader projects, we always ensure that there's a sustainability plan carried within the planning of all our projects.